we have a wonderful guest on today's episode of Stoke Meter, James Brunson. James Brunson is the rugby coach for the Nomads of North Philly in Philadelphia. And the way that this came about is I'm also in rugby and was watching a show called the Nomads on one of the channels here and was enamored because I had no idea that happened. And it's a story about how James and all of the assistant coaches brought rugby into Philadelphia. And what a fantastic story, James. How did this all start, man?
First of all, good evening. Thank you for having me. Like you said, it's been some work in the making to get us here tonight. So I'm glad we're able to get this going.
Yeah.
It started out, we had a newspaper article. The Philadelphia Inquirer did an article on us that ran Memorial Day. You know, it was a filler article, but we were on the front page, like bottom folder for like on Memorial, the Monday, Sunday paper. So we were out having a run, just a run around on Monday. You know, run some burgers out of the kids and stuff. Played a little touch, had a little fun, and this director, this guy Brandon Kamen, who actually at that time was he shot commercials and such, like local thing. He came up on us. He said I read the article and I found out where you guys practice, and he literally, we were getting ready to leave and he caught us like with like our feet we leaving out the gate. And so at first of all, it was gonna start out like as a documentary.
Right.
I didn't hear from him for a while, which was cool. He made like a donation or two, which all right, you know, he's just a donor. You know, we always want donors, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I kind of really forgot about the whole documentary thing. Um, then he reached back out and was like, "We're gonna make a movie." And we sat down and met, and he had like the whole storyboards and everything on how the movie was gonna go and things like that. We put some of our input in and you know try to hold it as close to as the story, the true story as possible. But you know, with some things you got to add a little pizzazz to the
Yeah.
movies and such. And they shot
Yeah.
the movie. They shot the movie where we practice at, and some other places in the city. I was able to get with working with the crew. I was able to get a lot of people that I played with and coach and things like that to be involved with the movie.
Yeah.
So a lot of the rugby players that you see doing the rugby action are actually people that I actually played with or played against in the area. A couple of the players, like original players, are actually in the movie as well, playing a couple parts. A couple guys on the Nomads team, and one of the guys that's in the crew of the antagonist. There are actual guys that played on the team in high school, so it was fun to get them involved as well. Um, and yeah, so the Nomads came to be the movie and the streaming on I think Amazon Prime. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did.
Yeah.
And it's streaming and you can watch it, check it out. It's a quick fun rundown and and we're proud of it. You know, we had a
Yeah.
movie premiere. It won the audience awards here
Yeah.
for the Philadelphia Film Festival. It won an audience award out in either California, Utah, somewhere out west, in a film
Yeah.
festival out there. I feel like I won an audience award there as well. I could be mistaken, but I feel like that's what happened as well. So yeah, it happened, and when it started to happen, it happened fast.
Yeah.
Like you know, a slow build up to a fast return, and you know we've been growing from there. It was opportunity just to you know get another rugby story out there, right?
Love those rugby stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I gotta ask though, Philly is a football town, a baseball town, all those other towns like that. And
Mhm.
rugby, I mean, let's face it, I remember when someone presented rugby to me, I thought, rugby, man, it's
Right.
a little brutal or what have you. And it wasn't very popular, at least when I was growing up. And now it's exploding. But I'm wondering, how did you approach bringing a brand new sport to people that probably never even knew what
um,
a rugby pitch was, man?
So it so it's funny, you always mention rugby like the game with the stick. I said, no, that's lacrosse. That's
Yeah,
not the game with the stick. But it started with actually the area in the state itself is really big in the youth rugby now. And at
yeah,
that point it was growing. Like historically in the area for youth, it was like private and Catholic schools. had
Mm,
rugby teams in the area. So it
Got
wasn't really too many. It wasn't any public community-based team.
yeah.
And so the way our program, the original Carnation, was a gentleman, Larry Conlan, who's one of the founders of the team as well, was teaching at a school in West Philadelphia High, and it was like the kids were, having interaction issues, fights, and arguments, things like that. And he was like, "If you guys want to hit each other, it's a sport. You can hit each other, and not get in trouble, and burn out some of this energy that we have." So he started doing like drills and things with the kids like that. He got transferred to another school, Vaux High School, that actually closed, that they talk about in the movie.
Mhm.
Um, he wanted to start a team there, and it happened to coincide with the fact that I wanted to get into coaching. I was towards what I thought was going to be the end of my career. I ended up playing 9 more years after that. But and so a couple coaches I know in the governing body, they linked me with him. There was a couple things I was looking at. I was actually looking at coaching in college, but then when I found out this program was in the public school, it was all meant to be. The school is 2 blocks from the school I work at. The field that they practice on, I could see out the window from my building. It's across the street. So it was like this was meant to be, right? It was all the stars aligned for me to be involved in this. It's right outside your door. You have no excuse to not help them and do it. And so we started working with them doing we did some tournaments. We did I don't know if you heard the CRCs, the College Rugby Championships.
Mhm.
That's part of
Yeah.
like we competed in the beginning stages of those in the high school portion and tournaments and things like that with the kids, and we grew from there. The way we get the kids involved is really just trying to get 1, 2 kids in, right? You get one,
Yeah.
2 kids in, and they bring in 1, 2 kids, and they bring in 1, 2 kids, and then next thing you know, hopefully you got like 20 kids. Hopefully you got
Yeah.
like 25 kids, and it's all just introducing them to them, introducing to opportunities and things like that to the families, showing them different things, different pathways to get what they ultimately want, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
post secondary education, whether it's trade school, whatever it is, just opening their eyes that there's different lanes to get what you want, right? It's not the traditional sports that we look at here in the city,
Yeah.
basketball, football, things like that.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get there. And you look now in Philadelphia now, there's lacrosse leagues, tennis is huge, golf is blowing up, rugby's still maintaining. So people are starting to realize now, like let's offer our youth a different lane to get where we want them to be, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what we try to do. And while at it, try to work on them being, the good citizens and things like that in the community, the stakeholders in the community that we know they can be, that they just need to be pulled out of them. And that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
I have
It's
to ask, what do you think was the most compelling thing about your story and kind of your guys' journey in getting rugby going that they came to you and wanted to highlight what you guys were doing?
I think, like you said, I think it was just like the novelty of it all. We were like the real like within the public sector and reaching out to this population of being able to get a rugby team put together and have them be able to compete. Um, the one thing that really we take pride in is the fact that we don't charge anything to play. If you
oh,
look in these
nice.
teams in this area, they charge like $400 a season for the
Oh
kids to
yeah.
play. Now, granted, for $400, they're getting a jacket, they're getting a bag, they're getting hoodies, they're getting. Now we might don't have all of that, but you're getting that same opportunity. You get a pair of cleats, you get a t-shirt, you get a tank top, you get the things that we're able to get you strictly from donations of people that care and want to see us succeed.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been playing in this area and been involved in rugby in this area for 22 going on 23 years. I
Yeah.
got a lot of people that want to see this group succeed, and they, $50 here, $100 here, $20 here, it all adds up. You know what I'm saying? It all adds up to be able to give our kids this opportunity to play this game for free.
Yeah.
They'll be able donations pay for our fees, the registration fees. It costs like 75 to like $100 for a kid to be able to just register to be able to play rugby,
Yep.
and physicals and like I said, cleats are like $45, things like that. So these costs add up. Um, And one thing, his parents are like, I just paid for you to play football. I just paid for you to play soccer. I just paid for you to play rugby. What is rugby? I'm not gonna pay for this. Like, you know what I mean? So we try to alleviate that boundary, right? We always try to say, if money is your only thing that's holding you back from playing, then nothing's holding you back from playing.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm
And
wondering what with that when you get a player involved in rugby, what do they notice is the big difference between the other sports that they've played? I mean, it's like the contact like football, cardio like soccer, but I mean, what other things have they said about the game?
I think it's a combination of it all.
Yeah.
The physicalness of football, but it's nonstop like soccer.
Yeah.
A lot of my football guys, one year our leading try scorer was an offensive guard on his football team.
Oh, he was a
Like
forward then.
yeah, like he played prop for us, but he was like, I get to score, I get to run with the ball here, and that's the thing. Like these, I'm used to blocking for the people to score. I have an opportunity to score in this sport. I got an
Yeah.
opportunity to run with the ball. I got an opportunity to show a little bit more of my athleticism than I'm naturally able to just playing football and things
Yeah.
like that. I try to tell them too, like playing a spring for us, a little summer fitness. It's gonna make you a better football player. It's gonna make you a better soccer player.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you a better wrestler. It's gonna make you a better because you're still continuously taking care of your body. You're
Yeah.
not just lagging around in this competition. Um, the one thing this summer, this group that we had was totally all new this spring to the game. They were surprised at the fact that like afterward the game, people come to me like, "Yo, that was a good run that you had. That was man, you hit me hard. That was a good tackle." Like, and they be like, "Oh, this guy just came up to me, was telling me that I did something good against him." Like, that's no one ever tells you that. Like, you
It
know what I
doesn't
mean?
happen, does
Yeah,
it?
he said that doesn't happen. I said that's how rugby is. That's
Yeah.
you're trying to take each other's head off in between the whistles, but afterwards you chop it up. You give
Yep.
each other respect. You give each other acknowledgement that they did well, and you should
Yeah.
do that too. So the
Yeah.
those type of things that they learn, like you gotta be able to acknowledge good things that happen, even if it's not you doing it, someone else is doing it.
Yes. One of the things that the audience might not be aware of, especially if you're not in rugby, is that typically, traditionally, they have something called the man of the match after each game. And James, you want to let the audience know what that man of the match is over there, or
Man, so a lot of people do it. That some teams, the other team picks it for your team. Sometimes the captain picks, and it's a person that stands out. Like I said, a lot of times it's not the person that scored 2, 3 times a game.
yep,
Usually it's the person that played hard, was just always around, always supporting their teammates, has positive attitudes, things like that. And it's just the acknowledgement that you were basically the MVP of the day
yep,
for that game,
yep,
and it's the acknowledgement from the other team and our team. So
yes.
it's something that you can hang your hat on.
And that's what's so unique about that. When I got involved, I remember they gathered around the opposite team was picking two players from the other team, and to your point, James, it's a hard fought battle. I've seen pretty massive hits,
Mm-hmm.
and when they come together like that to pay respect to each other, that's what really suckered me into the game. Because you're not it's not about just dishing and talking trash and all that other stuff that it happens on the pitch, but it happens in all the other sports. But just to see that mad respect was great. And when people saw that respect given on the pitch, especially when you started these games, what impact did that have on your players when they were actually looking for the good and someone they might have considered an enemy or whatever it might be on the opposite team there?
So with what we did this spring with the sevens is the state of Pennsylvania in the spring they do 15s only.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going down the road to Wilmington, Delaware. It's a 30-40 minute drive. And playing and with Delaware high schools and
Right.
sevens. And so it's basically like the same 4-5 teams every weekend. And so they start to develop bonds with the players. They start to remember players. They're like, "Oh, you remember last week that kid? He runs like this. He'll do this. You got to watch out for that because he's going to try to do that again." and things like that. So they start to grow into leadership and stuff like that, like building upon experience and talk. And then after the games, they'll be like, "Oh no, you got us with that move last week, but we were talking about it. You weren't gonna get us with that move again this week." And they'll be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get you next week though." They say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be looking for it." And then it becomes like that friendly rivalry. You start to
Right.
see the kids over and over again. Where the kids don't change phone numbers no more. You start following each other on Instagram. You start doing things like that, and you develop, friendships in that regard. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh
How
man.
old are the kids on your guys' team?
Well, the competitive team is high school. They're
Oh,
14 to 19. We do like workshops and things like that with like middle school and like older elementary school kids, but our playing side is high school age.
I mean, it sounds like you had the talent, you had the opportunity to potentially coach at the collegiate level, but yet you chose to focus on the high school. What is it about coaching kids that age that you think is worth it? That is, you know what I mean? Because
It's
that's a tough age for growing up.
Well, background. I'm in education.
Mm.
I work here in the city in alternative ed. I manage the daily operations of a disciplinary middle school.
Mm.
So I see the kids, and I see the need for outlets and things like that. Um, and so it's just like the natural teacher in me, the coach, right? The coach to see when you see someone get it, when you see the way they respond when they figure something out, the way they respond when they're able to get that pass down. Um, all them line up against each other trying to drop kick. When they finally get one off the ground in the air, they're like, "Did you see that? Did you see that? I'm kicking this week. I'm kicking this week." I'm like, "You gotta do it again. You gotta give me 20 in a row." Like, you know what I mean? Just to keep
Yeah.
driving them, to keep pushing themselves. A lot of times these kids are allowed to not push themselves. They're
Mm.
allowed to give up. They're allowed to be like, "This is too challenging. I'm just gonna keep doing my status quo." Right. And I feel like we do disservice to kids when we don't push them to be their best product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like with rugby being something that's new to them, it's naturally gonna be challenging. What better way is to get someone to push themselves is to try to be successful in something that's totally brand new
Yeah.
to you. And you're all learning together. You're all starting on the same page.
Yeah.
But now this season coming up, I got veterans now, right? They're texting me when we starting practice. I'm like, keep recruiting. We're gonna start in December. Um, so now I got kids that are right here that can help bring up the new kids, right? And
Right.
that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I've seen people. Matter of fact, it was funny. We had in the summer we had touch rugby, and we had a new girl come on the pitch, and just awful.
Mhm.
Just she didn't. It was uncoordinated. Didn't know what was going on. And fast forward 4 months, and she probably has the hardest hits and the crispest passes that are possible on a very elite team right now. And just to see what it is when you have that camaraderie amongst the team and those skills. I know to a majority audience, you're probably not familiar with rugby, but it's definitely something that the camaraderie is the linchpin of what rugby is. And James, that's why that was so powerful when I saw that story. And suffice to say, I was actually surprised that you're a man in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. They meld a couple people together, right?
Yes, they
I'm
did.
half. I'm like a little bit of the coach. I'm a little bit of the USA rugby coach in the movie. I'm a little here and there, and it's and they mention me by name, kind of, sort of, and like as a character when they're talking about like the history of the club that they started before.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I am a male. I am a man. Yeah.
So don't be shocked when you see the movie
When you see the
that
movie,
it's
right?
not James.
I don't know. I mean, listen, I'll Kika Sumter ain't a bad replacement, right? If it got to be somebody, right?
Oh yeah.
Might as well be a Hollywood star.
So true. So true. And I'm just wondering, Gary, from a non-rugby perspective, I mean, you probably played against some people in some probably non-traditional ways of rugby, but what's when we're talking here, what comes to mind, especially where you are in Arizona, although there is a good rugby team in Arizona. I do know that. So,
A lot of good rugby down
Yeah.
there.
It's funny, you kind of have the stereotypes, and sometimes stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. But the people that I've known that I like personally that play rugby, and the people, the interaction I've had with just the sport is exactly ties into what you guys are saying. It's that camaraderie. And it seems like the people that gravitate to the sport, I don't know if they gravitate towards it or if it kind of helps them become, but most of them are pretty darn chill. They're pretty, there's a competitive spirit, but it's also, it seems to be more about the team, or kind of like I don't know, they just seem really cool. I know that's kind of a crazy statement, but because they have a team at U of A back in the day that I knew quite a few of the rugby players, and it wasn't really like a self-centered approach. So like I knew some of the football players that played for the University of Arizona, and they tended to, and again, this is stereotypes and this is a small sample size, but they tend to be more self-centered. Whereas the rugby players were more about their crew, the people that they were with, and they were very inclusive. You know what I mean? And again, maybe this was just the experience I had, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, the atmosphere around rugby. You guys are using terms that I don't understand. I get the gist of it.
It's very, you said it's a very inclusive game, right? It's a position for everyone, from the smallest, fastest to the tallest, lankiest to the biggest, broadest. They'll find something for you to do on the field.
Yeah, yeah. There, you bring up something that's so that really it was really pronounced when I first started coaching in the game, and I'm not a technician by chance. I'm strength and conditioning, and just to see how really there are no differences. There's a lot of things that the kids are teaching me that adults try to teach you, but they're not living it the way that these kids are. And I'm just thinking of that. Is that something you've seen too, of how they what are the kids teaching you as you coach them?
There's a lot of times it's just the way to manage their personalities, right? I
Mhm.
get the kids in school, but the school is so structured in the way we do things that you do try to give a chance for a kid to show their personality, but
Mhm.
it's kind of so structured about their practice at the field, at tournaments and these van rides and stuff like that. You get to learn the kids' personality, you get to learn to manage them. And I feel like when dealing with the team, it helps me better with my job
Oh man.
professionally, because it gives me a couple more tools to use in my toolkit in regards to professional when I'm doing my passion play as well.
Man, you just put into words something that I couldn't figure out what they were teaching me. And I just realized I applied that in some conversations I had with some business associates and
Right.
clients. That's awesome.
No problem.
Oh my goodness.
No
Well,
problem.
well, if anyone wanted to learn more about the Nomads, where could we learn more about them?
We basically, I mean, it's the oldest answer right now. You could Google us. We're you Google North Philadelphia Rugby, North Philadelphia Nomads, you're gonna find a lot of information. We have like our Instagram, Nomads Rugby, um, things like that. We know we have all the modern ways of Facebook page, group, all those type of things, Nomads Youth Rugby, things like that. And there's a lot of articles. We've had like articles and stuff about us, written us in the past, like Inquirer, Daily News, stuff like that. So there's a lot about our history out there that you can always look up and learn about us. And you
Awesome.
always email me directly at North Philly Rugby at gmail.com, and I'll send you anything you want. You can ask me any question, anything. We're here to spread the story.
It's a fantastic story. And for those that are interested in watching the movie, it's The Nomads. And again, it's on Amazon Prime. And if you just type it in, it'll give you some of the different things that avenues you can view it. But highly recommend it and learn more about the amazing thing that James has done. But with that being said, James, thank you for being a
Hold
guest
on,
on the
I'm gonna
show.
make sure like us. It's not just me; it's a team. We got, like I said,
Yes.
Larry Conlan was the co-founder. He's the one first student I came in and helped him. We have Lauren Murphy Sands. She works with the schools, assistant coach. She's like our school and parent liaison and helps out with some of the rugby stuff. She played collegiately. Um, and Kate Flanagan as well. She helps out with some of the coaches. She's like my trusty right hand who I call when I have questions and things like that. And she helps with some of the back when we had our 15s coaching some of the backline stuff like. So the whole thing it hasn't just been me to get to this point. It's been a lot of helping hands and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to them, and of course my very patient and understanding wife who allows me to do all these things.
Amen to that, man.
Well, like I said, everything you just said is very rugby-esque.
It really is.
Giving credit, into the team, reaching out, giving props. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's never one man show, right? There's a whole lot of people behind you or standing side by side with you, and I just want to make sure that they get their due as well.